A video of the employees on the floor when they were running the first group.
No, I wasn't, and then, but, you know, that's. Yeah, so I. My husband. Every employee was offered. Yeah, it's really, really well done. Yes,
I expected to go fine. They told us.
no, but each employee was offered. So he was my dad.
Yeah, they got
Oh,
that's no fun.
She's in this weird, she's been around.
Yeah, just say, you guys want lunch? Yeah, you guys want lunch? Grab it now.
Like, yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah, like give 5 minutes, but.
It's
Tamar's
jam
gonna,
packed.
is she on Tamar? So she's in her when she comes on, she'll come.
You get it.
I'm here, Sherry. Thanks, Tamar. I think
And then
if
we're
it's
gonna
red,
go back
it's
and look
fine.
at the, yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Foundation Board of Directors meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes. Elaine Sanchez,
Here.
Tamar.
I'm here, thank you.
Okay, Matt,
Here.
Nicole Rogers,
Here.
Kelly Benavides,
Here.
Eva Creer. And Fred James,
Here.
Michael Kalish,
Here.
Felipe Ortiz,
Here.
Michelle Sanders,
Here.
Chris Way.
Here.
Thank you so much. Next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We do not have any other.
Very good. Next item, we're moving to item number 3, board action to accept proposed agenda. I hope all of our directors have had a chance to review it. Are there any questions on the proposed agenda or changes? Hearing and seeing none.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Who was that? That was Kelly Benavides.
Correct.
A second.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Way. Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? No oppositions? Okay, we're moving forward to item number 4, board action to accept minutes from September 22nd, 2022 and October 6th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Okay, being none, that is a so moved from Kelly Benavides.
Tamar second.
All right, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Any nays? Okay, no opposition on that. Very good. Now, the next item is our presentation of audited financial statements, discussion and action with Auditor Gary Lean of Hilburn and Lean CPAs. I would just want to give the floor to our director, Jane Mack. Is there anything that you'd like to say or comments prior to the audit?
I don't have any comments to add.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Mary Quiroz, and this is Gary Lean. We're Hilbert and Lean CPAs, and we've been doing the audit for the Library Foundation for about several years now, maybe 8 years or so. So thank you for the opportunity to do this audit for the year ended June 30th, 2022. So we'll start with the independent auditor's report. And the report states an unqualified opinion, no emphasis of matter or modifications. And the statements of financial position are on page 3 and are presented on a comparative basis. Total assets for 2022 were 21,945,400. And for 2021 were 21,976,734. These consist of total current assets for 2022 of $375,643. And for 2021 were $2,039,713. Total long-term assets for 2022 were $19,569,757. And for 2021 were $19,937,021. Total liabilities for 2022 were $97,843. And for 2021 were $107,750. Total assets minus total liabilities equals a total net assets. For 2022, total net assets were $21,847,557. And for 2021 were $21,869,019. The statements of activities are on page 4. For the activities without donor restrictions, total revenues before net assets released from restrictions for 2022 were $259,236. Total net assets released from restrictions for 2022 were $762,127. Total revenues without donor restrictions for 2022 were $1,021,363. Total expenses without donor restrictions for 2022 were $787,561, resulting in the change in assets without donor restrictions of $233,802. For the activities with donor restrictions, total revenues before net assets released from restrictions for 2022 were $506,863. As stated per above, net assets released from restrictions were $762,127, resulting in the change in assets with donor restrictions of $255,264. Changes in net assets on page 5 is a summary of the detailed information on page 4. And the statements of functional expenses are on page 6. Total program service expenses for 2022 were $762,127. And for 2021 were $796,467. Total general and administrative expenses for 2022 were $25,434. And for 2021 were $24,364, resulting in total functional expenses for 2022 of $787,561, and for 2021 were $820,831. The statements of cash flows are on page 7, and near the bottom of page 7, the net result for 2022 was a net increase in cash of $98,014 versus a net decrease for 2021 of $87,680. The notes to the financial statements are on pages 8 through 15. 11, note 4. There was no uninsured cash. On page 12, note 6, we see that the effects of COVID lifted. We saw the significant increase of volunteer hours from 2021 through 2022. Note 7, page 13. Total financial assets available to meet cash needs for general expenditures within 1 year for 2022 were $464,673, and for 2021 were $366,659. And we welcome any questions anyone might have at this time.
Are there any questions from any directors? Yes, Director Way. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, thought you went like this. Okay, there are no questions. Nope. Okay, very good. We're moving on. Anything else to add? Wow, we're a quiet bunch today. Okay, thank you very much for that information. Do we have a motion on the floor to accept the audit report? Director Kalish, thank you. Do I have a second? Okay, that would be Treasurer Jane Mack. Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I, excuse me.
Any nays? No abstentions? Very good. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, then I'm sorry. Very good. The next item is the development report from Joanne Privetti. Hi, Joanne. Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. Very good.
Thank you, everyone. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And the report was submitted on November 16th. We've been doing a lot of activity in the development department.
I'm sorry, can we get her to speak in the mic? We could hear Elaine perfectly, but Joanne, not so much.
Can you hear me better now?
Better, perfect, thank
Right
you.
on the mic. Okay, thank you. We've been doing a lot in the development department. And in addition to what is stated on the report, we have just brought on a new donor. Intermountain Healthcare is coming on as a financial donor and supporter of the library district. Yesterday, they committed to a $35,000 cash donation to help with health and wellness in the community. We will be checking out blood pressure machines at the library. And this will be going live, within the next 6 to 8 weeks, once we get the funding, so that individuals can come in and in addition to checking out a laptop, in addition to checking out books, they can also check out a blood pressure machine. So the cuffs are a one-time checkout. So the person would bring the machine back without the cuff, and then the next person that checks it out gets a brand new sanitized cup. We're also partnering with them to bring community health workers into the libraries. We'll be putting them in all 25 library locations so that when individuals come in, they can have a health assessment while they're at the library. And if the community health worker feels the need that the individual needs to see a doctor, they can do a telehealth visit right there. So they will be located in parts of the library that are closed off where there are no windows so that there's patient privacy and all the HIPAA regulations are met. They'll also be contributing to our mobile phone program to help with those experiencing homelessness and at-risk individuals in the community to get access to digital access to telehealth visits, to the food bank, and to health and wellness services. So they're really coming on as a big part of what we do starting at the next calendar year. So we're excited to be bringing them on board. We've also received, we have a lot of grant submissions out there that we're waiting to see. Virginia's been working very closely with the department. So right now we have pending grants, 2 million or submitted grants for the month, $2,237,841. We know that the banks have lots of money to give, and we're working closely with them on funding. We've already received a few commitments. Nevada State Bank has committed to the library district, so we know we'll be receiving that funding shortly, and so is Wells Fargo. We're working with healthcare partners as well, because we know that there's a lot of funding out there, and the more that we do in the community, when it's focused on health and wellness, it's a good tie-in to the health companies like with Intermountain Healthcare, so that the library is really a community hub for everyone. So we're expanding on that. Excuse me for the raspiness. In October, we received $308,677.13 in grants that were awarded. Some were awarded to the district directly. If it's when it comes to collections, those go to the district. So, but we like to report so that you see the work that we're doing in the development department and the contacts that we're working with to increase the funding. There's one that I'm really excited to share with you is the United Way. We met with the United Way. We had about 4 or 5 meetings with them, And they were funders of the library at one time and then they kind of fell off. We met with them, we did a tour of the library. They saw the programs that we have and they were really interested in the career online high school program. So they have committed $25,000 to that program. We haven't received it yet, but we just wanted to report it so that you see what we're working on. And of course, Cox, with working with Tamar and the Cox folks, that we were the recipients of a $25,000 Cox Teen Center grant that we received on October 31st at their golf tournament, and also $2,500 from Cox for general library programming. And it was really excited. We were really excited to receive those funds. Our book sales are at $16,571 for October. We are switching vendors. The Friends of Phoenix group is going out of business, and we found a new vendor called Thrift Books. And their fees are much better, and they don't charge a commission, so that when the book sale funding comes in, it'll be a 20% increase of what we're receiving now. So that works well for us. So we're working with that organization. You know, we also have the website click donations. You know, we're in the 4,000, so people are starting to see and they're clicking, and we're getting donations. We actually just received our first commitment of $100 a month through the click donations. So we're looking to get more donations like that. If we can get, you know, 100 people at $100 a month, that really gives us some really good unrestricted fundings. Boyd Gaming came on, they're a new donor. They awarded $25 to support our tutoring programs, but they're also turning into a long-term donor for us as well. They've invited the library district as one of the local nonprofits, the foundation, to be a part of their wreath program. So what Boyd does is it invites nonprofits during the holidays to create these wreaths. And the wreath is about the size of the television in here, really large wreath that we decorate. They put it in their hotel locations and people get to vote on it. And there'll also be a live vote as well. So depending on the number of votes, would be depending on where we would receive funding, but everyone who enters gets $1,000 as a consolation prize. So more to come. Actually, Sherry, if you wanted to go in on who did the creation over at the Enterprise Library and what the kids did.
Yeah, we gave our wreaths to the Best Buy Teen Tech Center. So the teens have decorated and they did a great job. And you guys will see it when it's being picked up today. So they put light and sound and they coded everything and it's really nice. So we're excited for them.
And what's nice with the wreath is what the kids at the Teen Tech Center did is it will light up and it'll have different tones in it. And they also celebrated Hanukkah and Kwanzaa with the wreath. So we're celebrating all religions in that holiday because the holidays are for everyone. So we're looking forward to see where we land. But this is really opening the door for us with the big gaming companies outside of, you know, the MGM and the Wynn. There's other gaming companies that we just really haven't had contact with. So we're excited about that. We're partnering with the Palms. We were scheduled tomorrow to go to their employee health and wellness fair to sign people up for library cards because they like the programs that we have, but they postponed that. But next year they'll be coming on to support us, some of our programs as they learn more about the library. So we're just out there knocking on doors, meeting with people and creating these opportunities for funding. We still have a couple of pending meetings. We're working closely with Bank of Nevada. Mr. Paridi's schedule was really tight, but we've been in constant communications trying to get that wrapped up. We're also working on with Ms. Michelle Marsh, with the president of First Class Vending. You know, they have the vending machines throughout the county, and they also have the vending machines here at the library district. And she's interested in meeting with the library. I met with her at a fundraiser, and she loves the library. We just have to wait till after the holidays on some of these donors. Working on a lunch with Peter Guzman, the president of the Latin Chamber. We're still working on trying to secure a meeting with the founder of Manscaped. He's really interested in what the library does, but he is just a very busy man. And then with Boyd Gaming, it's just been constant, where we've just had constant communication. I think that's all the updates that I have now, but I was glad to share the Intermountain one with you since that came in after the report went out. So if there's anyone that you'd like development to meet with, we'll call anyone that you send our way. Thank you.
That's a really good point. Maybe if anyone has any idea of we'd love to email Joanna and copy Virginia and Sherry. So they're all.
Sorry, your mic is up. Your mic is off.
Sorry about that. I was just commenting that I agree with Joanna. If there are people that we know in the community that they should be, contacting. I also think that it's helpful if we contact that person first and let them know, or doing some type of introduction. I always think that's helpful, but I think that's a very good way going forward. I know the holidays are hard, but maybe gives us time as directors to think about names, and then maybe at the beginning of the year, have some names for the team. So that way we can help them with their foundation endeavors. How is everything going with the gala?
What, at the next meeting that we have scheduled, we'll start working on the committees. The save the date card is finalized. It'll be going in the Latin Chamber magazine next month. We wanted it to go out in December per the plan, so that people know that we're having something, because they're not expecting to get a save the date card from the Library District Foundation. So that will be going out in the Vegas Business Magazine and all the publications, in the business publications. Our marketing team will also be putting it on LinkedIn and social media, just for the save the date. And it says, the date that we're having it, where we're having it, and just save the date. And when we have our next foundation meeting, at that time, we can talk about who we'd like to honor. We'll make it an agenda item. We can put our committees together and we could move forward, because that's the timeline that we had together. And we know that for this meeting, it was basically focused on the audit. So we wanted to respect the time of the auditors. But in the meantime, we can still communicate via email if there's someone, like say Elaine, you say, I think Mr. Smith's family would be wonderful to honor. And Jane, you say Mr. Jones' family, we can start the conversation, and then we can vote at the next meeting. Or the directors can vote on it at the next meeting as we start the planning.
I think that's great. Does anybody have any other ideas about this? Because, it is coming soon. It doesn't seem like it is, but it really is. And we want to support you and help you guys as much as possible, because we know that it takes a lot of work and it's just really, it's not only attention to detail, but it's also costs and who are we going to honor and how many people can we get to purchase. I'm assuming it's the tables are 10. Is it 10 or 8? I can't recall.
They're 10.
They're 10. So you know what I mean? Like Nicole knows what I'm talking about.
We're just involved in a very big event.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions for Joanna? Yes, Director.
Yes. What was that save the date? Was that still November 4th?
Yes, it's November 4th, 2023.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, this is Felipe Ortiz.
Yes, 1 moment, Director Ortiz. I have Director Way who's going to say something. Give us 1 second.
Thank you.
So, one comment, follow-up question.
Yeah.
So obviously, great urgency.
Mike, please.
The urgency to get the committee going as quickly as possible in the gala. So when we do our prospecting list, we might have some things to talk about other than finding people what's sponsorable, right? What can we actually get them to buy? And then just also, maybe it's didn't have it on the agenda item, just about Orange Boy. Just curious if there's any update there.
We don't have an update on Orange Boy. And the reason that we don't have this time, as we discussed in the last meeting, that they had management changes. And we don't want to bring them forth to the board until we feel confident with the changes that we can present something that's tangible. You're welcome.
Also, I just want to say regarding the gala, because of timing, if we need to do a special session, a special meeting, not a special session, a special meeting that we typically don't do, I would hope that the directors would be amenable to that, because there are some things that we're going to have to vote on and approve. And what I don't want you to ever worry about, Joanna, because this is the first time we're all doing this, I don't want you to say, oh, I had this, but I didn't get a chance to put it together because, timing is of timing issues. And then you wait a month or two. We don't need to do that. So I'm just telling you now that if there's any way that we can support you, and if that also means having a special meeting on Zoom for all of us to approve or discuss something, we can do that.
Would you like to set something up before Christmas, or would you like to set something up for a special meeting right after the new year? And we can do a Zoom meeting with everyone, and we can just make that meeting about the gala.
Directors, any ideas on that? Director Way says he's in support of that. and we have two sport. I'm okay with that too. If we can pick a day that you're comfortable with and it's in December and it's not on the 24th or 25th, I think we can do it on Zoom. But I just want to make sure, because I was looking at the next time we're going to meet is not until is it March or is it January? It's March. I looked at the calendar and I thought, I don't see anything for January. And we don't meet in January. So whatever you need, just make sure you send me an email, but we'll work that out. And I think Zoom's the best way for everybody.
Okay, we'll send out dates.
Great.
We'll do a doodle poll.
Perfect. Thank you. Are there any, oh yes, Director Ortiz, you have a question?
Actually, comment and a question. Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Watson, are you on the line? Are you on the call?
Director Watson is out of town.
Okay,
He is at an event as a keynote speaker. So his
Okay, very good.
report is just on the agenda as submitted.
okay. So for the record, Director Watson's not present. First of all, Joanne, you've done a great job. You knocked it out of the park. Thank you very much for the hard work. Love it. Really love it. Question, at what point, and I was going to ask the director since he's not present and you're present on his behalf, at what point do you introduce us to the regular library district board of trustees and ask for their assistance?
Assistance with the gala?
Not creating chairs or moving chairs but buying tickets, giving you names, maybe a couple names of other people that might be able to buy a table.
At the next Board of Trustees meeting, and introducing it to the board at that time.
Okay,
Right.
so that's what I was looking for. Very good. And lastly, I agree with the Madam Chair. These things move very quickly, so setting up the meetings ahead of time. If there's no meeting, it's easier to cancel than to post the meetings, right? So once you post the meeting, you can always cancel. It's always harder to post a meeting with deadlines. So very good. Joanne, again, thank you so much. You did very, very well. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. I also would like to recognize Miss Leslie Valdez. She's the volunteer coordinator, and she won the Governor's Point of Light Award in the category of volunteer manager. That's a really big deal. So can you please extend our congratulations to her and tell her thank you for everything she's done. She's really an extraordinary woman. I've never got the chance to personally meet her in person, but I've talked to her many times on the phone, and she emanates this heart. She really does. And she's a fantastic person from all the times that I've talked to her on the phone. So please extend our congratulations to her. We're very, very thankful of her work for us. Okay, thank you very much for that report. Next item is the library district report from our executive. As Joanne mentioned, he's not here. I read the report. I thought it was great. I will say that the district was part of the Las Vegas book fair, which was incredible. I went to go personally and attend and see how it was, and it was very well attended. They had amazing authors, and there were some elected officials that were also there to show their support. Got to talk to them about the foundation and tell them what we're up to. And I also know that we had another director there. So would you like to share your comments on that, please?
I had an amazing time. Thank you. How do I work this thing?
It's right, you're on.
Can you hear me? Okay. I was able to attend as well. I actually specifically attended Executive Director Watson's talk, which was very well presented. He had an amazing author. He gave a great interview, and it was a great time. I definitely encourage anyone who has the opportunity to go next year when it comes back around to definitely check that out. It was a great book festival.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on his report? Just to make sure that everyone is aware, on his report, he had a discussion on the acquisition of enterprise development site. He had information on the architectural plans and information on the future development site update about East Side Development Site. So just, I know that everyone's working on a lot of things, and I know that we also have our market tax credits that are, that we are responsible for. So just, I know there's a lot of different things going on, and just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of these changes that are happening, these actual capital changes that are happening to the library. All right,
So,
very good. Oh,
Madam Chair,
yes, go ahead.
Felipe Ortiz, for the record, just to follow up very quickly. The trustees of the library district meet every year, and they do long range planning. In 2019, 2020, they approved a list of areas that needed another library based on the statistics. And so there's a lot of needs. There's probably 5 more libraries needed, but they also voted to put them in priority list. So that's what we're talking about, long range planning. And then after that, we have to find land, which is becoming a premium. And they were able to find land up in the Hollywood by Las Vegas High School area. That doesn't mean it's going to get built, but that's the first step, is acquiring the land. So they're moving to acquire that land from the BLM. And then, of course, they're doing a fantastic job of filling the need at West Las Vegas. And they're looking at 2 other areas. And that'll depend on land that they get first. Then it's moved to the trustees to approve. And then it's moved to finding money for it. Everything's about money. So basically, the library district itself has a lot of moving parts. The director's doing a great job of moving us forward to meet our constituents' needs, our customers' needs. And so that's what you see in his report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Ortiz. All right, any other questions? Okay, very good. Next report is President's report. I'm going to read this into the record because I just want to make sure that it's there. And if, God forbid, you look at the report and you just see President's report and there's no attachment. So bear with me. The Las Vegas Clark County Library District Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation and was created by District Council. While the Las Vegas Clark County Library District is a public agency organized under applicable NRS statutes, the foundation is a quasi-public board required under NRS Chapter 379, and pursuant to such is required by state law to comply with the Nevada open meeting law. The foundation must fulfill all obligations, all financial obligations and board obligations, and be a separate and independent board according to the Internal Revenue Service rules. While the foundation and the district are separate and distinct organizations, both share the common goal of supporting, enriching, and enabling library services within the Las Vegas Clark County Library District service area. The law firm of Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck has graciously provided specialized nonprofit and pro bono, public board pro bono work to assist the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Foundation with its bylaws and other matters that pertain to keeping it compliant. In the course of this ongoing work, legal counsel has suggested the following. 1, an overall update to the foundation bylaws as they have not been revised or updated in 22 years. There is not an outlined nominating process for the foundation in the bylaws. On September 22nd, 2022, a bylaws committee was established with directors Creer, Hopili, Kalish, and Rogers voted in as members of that committee. 2, after reviewing the foundation's Secretary of State annual list, it was noted that former library district employee Daniil Milam was listed as the foundation's non-commercial registered agent. A registered agent is a business or individual designated to receive service of process when a business entity is party in a legal action, such as a lawsuit or summons. Pro bono counsel has recommended we hire counsel or a third-party company to be the foundation's registered agent. Pursuant to this recommendation, the foundation hired CT Corporation System. 3, the foundation officers have very specific activities related to their role. They are responsible for maintaining records, agendas, meeting minutes, and financial reports on the health of the organization. There is a fiduciary duty to protect the organization's assets and investments. The board at large is also responsible for controlling and monitoring functions of the foundation, including grants or any fundraising activities. Potential board governance training for the foundation directors is recommended. Additional actions to be taken include the creation of a checklist for the foundation's officers to know what legal requirements, agreements, and financial obligations must be met on a yearly basis. The next item they suggest is previous year's taxes should be reviewed and conduct an independent 3-year audit of the foundation in all areas, from policies to bylaws to financial compliance. This would ensure independent and thorough processes are in place and being followed. And lastly, the examination of the potential to hire board counsel for the foundation. Counsel will provide advice and be available for consultation on a regular basis. It is important that board counsel be a subject matter expert on nonprofits and public boards. That is the president's report. Are there any questions, or would anybody like to discuss any of these matters?
Madam
I have
Chair, go ahead.
This is
Yes,
Fred.
yes, Director. Yes, Director James.
The question that I have is on the grants. My understanding is when I was there that the foundation did not administrate the grants. I'm sure Joanne will know that it's done by the district. I got the impression that they were saying something about we're going to be in control of the grants, and we're not. It's the library district, and I want to make sure that was clear. Did I mishear that?
The one thing that council had mentioned to us is it's important, if it is grants that will affect the foundation, that will go towards the foundation, that the board should know about those grants before them being filled out and sent out. That's what council believes, because council seems to think that if we don't know about it and there's a conflict of interest, then we wouldn't find out about it till after it's already been done. So it's really more of a procedural issue, I think, than anything else. That's what it sounds like to me.
All righty, that's clarification. That's what we needed.
And then the other thing is they want to make sure that we are compliant. When you look at what the foundation has, it's not a lot. There's not a lot of processes, and there's not a lot of policies, and that leaves room for error or misjudgment because it's vague. So one person can read it one way and another person can read it another way. And it's not fair to the board, and it's not fair with, agencies or people that are working with us. So, and then we also need to make sure that whatever we're doing, we have some type of administrative system that we can go back and see and everything was followed correctly. Any questions? Any
I would
discussions or
say
concerns?
this is Fred again. I would say that anything that we're responsible for, and basically the administration of all the grants have always gone through the district. But if we're going to be mentioned as going into the foundation, yes, I would definitely agree that we need to know about those items. I thought that the annual audits, and I'm moving on to something else now, that the annual audit answers the questions that we are looking at ourselves. And my understanding is that the attorneys do our taxes every year. If I'm not correct, if that's changed, Foresto probably knows, and his new assistant. So I think that most of the things that were mentioned in there are already being taken care of through just this normal process of responsibility between the district and the foundation.
President Sanchez, I have a question. So Director James, regarding the grant submissions, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. Would you like the board of directors to review the grants that were prior to us submitting them? Is that what you'd like?
No,
I guess
just,
the question, oh, sorry, go ahead, Director James. Go ahead. You go first
no,
and then
not,
I'll.
not review the grants unless the board wants to, unless the foundation wants to, the directors want to review the grants. No, we like to know, just do what you've been doing is present the grants to us. But if we have responsibility, just let us know that we are the grantee.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay.
What council was saying to me is if it is going to benefit the foundation, which is also going to benefit the district, but if it's coming from the foundation, the board needs to know ahead of time. That is what council is saying.
So,
And that makes sense. Yes, go
Elaine,
ahead, please.
this is
Yes.
Kiva. No, I agree with you. It does make sense, but when Sherry maybe could, if she's in the room, I'm not sure, could qualify this, but typically in the past, when either she or Danielle pursued a grant on behalf of the foundation, they did present it to the chair before sending it off. It may not have gone to the full board, but it did go to the chair for review and signature. So I think what just needs to be is maybe lining the steps, and that sometimes grants come up at the very last minute. And, do you still want the whole board to review it? Do you want just, the chair and the vice chair? But I think just kind of clarifying the roles will help kind of straighten some of these questions out. But I would say in the past, we were presented at least on the level of chair on potential grants.
Yeah, and you're correct, Kiva. We would, so whenever it requires a signature, any kind of signature from, if it's a foundation grant, then we would always send it to the president. They're the ones that sign. So the district can't sign for those grants. So it was always reviewed by the chair at that point. I think it.
And
like you
then-
said, asking the whole board to review is going to become very cumbersome. Yeah.
This is Fred again. I wouldn't say review and add it and return it back, but I would say make it a part of the agenda as a background information so that we can take a look at it, especially if it's not that huge. If it's going to be on diligent, it's very easy to put it on there. And then we can have a chance to review it and see what's going and to see what the grant's all about.
I agree with that, Fred, but just working with grants, they sometimes come up at the last minute. So with our schedule, it may not always be able to happen that way. So that's why I think I'm laying out some steps for various situations, because they're just in the work I do for the water district. Sometimes grants come up at the last minute and we have to submit them without, I report to another board and I don't have time to report to the board, but one of the steps that we can introduce would be in that situation when it's the last minute, it's reported at the next board meeting about the grant. That may help as well. In an ideal world, it would be great that we get them all in advance. I'm just telling you, in the real world, it doesn't always happen with enough time or notice.
This is Fred again. I totally agree with what you just said, and that's was my expectation too. They may not be able to put them on this particular agenda, but they can put it on a future agenda as background.
Thank you, Director James and Director Creer. I think the issue is what the attorney realized is, like I said, there's not a lot of substance to our bylaws, our policies and procedures. That should probably be a policy. Whereas, we can discuss it as a board instead of us getting it on the agenda, which is not feasible or practical. Then we have to have a written policy saying any foundation grants goes to the chair, and the chair will either bring it up to the board or not, but the chair, the chairs knows about it. Those are the things that I'm talking about in the president's report. There's just a lot of areas that there's no written policy on it. And so there's some areas where we need to focus on the bylaws. There's some areas where we need to focus on policies and procedures, I would say. And then there's other areas where we need to talk about exactly what our committees are. we talked about the governance committee, which I'm going to bring back at our next meeting to finalize that, because I know Director Way wanted to make a couple of changes. So we'll bring that up to the board the next time so we can finalize that. But I know that we also need to talk about compliance committee. There's some things that we need to do as a board that I think will help us move forward, and everyone will know what is going on, and no one has to say, oh, wait, I don't know, hold on, let me look everywhere. We don't need to do that.
President
Yes,
Sanchez,
please.
This is Joanne Privetti for the record. So I just want to share with the board that when we do write grants, and I'll just give an example. So say there's a grant for a story time, that there's a library grant that would pay for story times and for story time readers and instructors to come in. We meet with that department internally to see if it's $100,000 grant. This is what the specifications of the grant are. This is what the library district staff would need to do if the grant was awarded through the foundation. Is it something that's feasible? And we don't write until we get the commitment from the department, so that we can ensure that every grant that comes in, that is funded, that comes through the foundation, that we already have the plan in place for when that funding comes in. So we don't just, it looks like we're writing a lot, but all of these grants are planned and where that funding is going to go by meeting with the departments and knowing what the funder is looking for. So I just want everyone to feel comfortable with that there's really a plan B in place once the plan A is securing the funds so that we can implement.
And I just want you to know, at least from my perspective, we know that. We think you're doing a great job. We think your staff is doing a wonderful job. It's really about policy and procedure, because we don't have anything written down, and it's not good enough for us as a board when somebody asks me, how do we do things, that I can say, well, our past practice has been, as you know, and then it's just, it's a story. I'm telling you what we've done in the past, but there's no documentation. There's no written paperwork. And that's what this discussion is about. I don't want you to think that it's about you or the grants or nothing like that, because it's not that at all.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood, since we had some new board members. So thank you for the time.
No, thank you very much. Okay, are there
Uh,
any questions?
Madam
Oh,
Chair?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes,
Ms. Felipe
Director
Ortiz,
Ortiz.
I want to be able to just narrow it down to 2 minutes. Under Nevada law, the library district's not allowed to solicit, or their employees are allowed to solicit any money because they're public employees. They collect taxes. That's why they use the foundation board. Pretty simple concept. Secondly, if they go for grants, they're supposed to get approval from the trustees before they sign off on them. That becomes problematic also. So that's why they use the foundation. So this 22-year relationship has been a good relationship, because it allows for Joanne, successor, her future, the next person in 20 years, to give them as a public employee to go out and solicit money, because they don't have a solicitor's license. The foundation does. We're a 501c3. That's the reason for the relationship. Nevada law dictates that. Nevada Administrative Code dictates that. And so that's the high level view. The short level view, did you need motions on any of these items?
No, it's just to, if you'll just accept the report, I think we'll.
Okay,
we'll
so
be good.
one quick comment. I'm in agreement with the nominating committee, Felipe Ortiz. For sure, we definitely need to change the resident agent. This individual is no longer there. Review the taxes for a 3-year period. Yes, I am in agreement. We need to hire an outside counsel for the board, because we're handling a lot of money, a lot of policy. No changes in the grants from the district. They're doing a great job. And then I agree that a compliance committee, this is about transparency. The citizens of Nevada expect it, especially when they're allowing us to do tax donations to people that give us money. And so I'm in agreement with all that. So I would move to accept the report. Felipe Ortiz.
Can I get a second? Okay, very
Before
good.
we
Get a
get a second, may I
Oh,
add
yes.
something?
Yes, Director James.
This is Fred
We'll
again.
suspend that part. Go ahead.
Okay. What I'd like to add to that is there a possibility that we can, on these bylaws, updating the bylaws, that we can hire an outside consultant to put together this package? When I was worked at the St. Jude's Ranch for Children, one of the things that we had to do there was to update the bylaws there and we hired a consultant to be able to put it together and work with at that time, the directors on making sure that we have everything covered, and they made this. That this is something that could be handled under the next meeting that you have. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Director James. I appreciate those comments. We have counsel, pro bono counsel, that is helping us with that right now. I think it's a good idea to utilize that account and then work with the bylaws committee. And then after that, should it not be finished, or there's other things that we need to do on the president's report that we think are lacking, we can hire somebody to do that. I think we'll just use a blend of the attorneys and our directors, and then let's see how far we get. And then if we need more consultation, we can do that as a board. Of course, we'll bring this to you before we do it, but I think that's a good plan. That's okay.
There's a motion on the floor, Madam Chair, first.
Just to accept the report, I have a first from
Felipe?
oh my God. Yes, from Felipe. Can I get a second? Thank you very much. All right, got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstention? Okay, thank you. Any abstentions? Any nays? All right, very good. The next item is, I believe, to discuss legal counsel. If you look at your backup, you will see that there are two individuals that are, two individuals who represent two different law firms that have experience on public boards, have experience with quasi-public boards. And oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I skipped hold on, I'm going to suspend these comments. The next item after this that we just discussed before is the foundation bylaws. Just so you know, I'm going to put foundation bylaws on every meeting, just so then that way, if we want to talk about it, we can. I did send an email to the bylaws committee. I know that we're still waiting on council to get back to us to have a specific attorney working with you. They're taking some time on that, which is fine. Are there any questions on the bylaws? I just put it on the agenda because I'd like to have it on the agenda every time. We probably should have the gala on an agenda every time too, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so any questions on that for the bylaws? Okay, so we're going to move on. And then we're going to talk about the discussion and possible action on appointment of legal counsel. I think there's a lot of good reasons to have legal counsel. I will tell you that most boards do. And we are in a very unique position because we have to follow NRS statutes and also be a 501c3. And sometimes it's easy to be on a private board. There's a lot more hoops that we need to jump through to be on this board, because we have to have meeting notice, and a lot of the things that we want to say, we have to say it in public. And if we want to have a closed session because it is an important discussion, we currently cannot do that because we do not have counsel. You can't have a closed meeting session with just your directors. So with that being said, I'd like to, I think we should have some people online right now. Let's see here.
This is Brianna Martinez. I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So, Brianna, thank you for coming. Brianna is with Kemper Crowell, and I had the opportunity to meet with her, and she has a great deal of public board experience. And Brianna, we'd just like you to go ahead and talk to us and tell us about yourself and your law firm.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm not there in person. I just wanted to introduce myself. Thank you, Elaine. My name is Brianna Martinez. I work at Kemper Crowell. We are a full service civil litigation firm, or civil firm. We essentially work in government affairs, litigation, transactional work. I've been at the firm now for 3 years. I am in the transactional department. The transactional department pretty much does contract work. I have been assisting different nonprofits and businesses in general on any general business advice that they need, whether it means updating their bylaws, attending a board meeting if they have questions on open meeting laws. Sometimes they have employment agreements that they need drafted, termination agreements, basically any general business advice that a board would need. I'm there for you at any moment. If there's something that I can't personally help with because that's out of my wheelhouse, my firm, again, has different departments. For example, sometimes some boards that I help might have an issue with zoning and they are in need of a zoning attorney. Well, our firm has that. Or a litigation matter, or just an analysis whether something needs to go to litigation or not. We have all of that in-house and can assist you. Please feel free to ask me any questions at all. And I think Elaine included our engagement letter in the resources from the agenda today.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the directors to Brianna or about her law firm? Brianna, can you tell me a little bit about your charter school experience?
Yes, so I actually have 2 charter schools that I'm working with right now. And it really just depends, you know, every month, sometimes a day of what exactly they need. Sometimes I attend their meetings, review their charter contract. We've done analysis, like legal opinions on what their duties are versus CCSD, if that is their sponsor. Right now, just reviewing, for example, they needed some zoning work. We did that, reviewed a lease agreement. So it varies every day.
Okay, thank you. Will you go? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you all were speaking about your bylaws, and I just actually had to redo bylaws for one of the charter schools that I'm working with because they were outdated, and I'm not sure who drafted them, but you know, provisions didn't make sense. They didn't follow the law, or they were conflicting, or the board wasn't actually following what was in the bylaws.
Yes, thank you very much. Are
You're
there any
welcome.
questions from any of the directors? Okay, thank you, Brianna. Do you want to
Thank
go
you.
over real quick your engagement letter? Do you have anything that you want to point out?
No, so essentially the way our firm handles stuff is that we require a retainer. The retainer would be $2,500. We work against that retainer, and all nonprofits that we represent, we give them a 20% discount on all the bills. So right now my hourly rate is $305. It is going up effective December 1, so it will be $350, but that does not include the 20% discount. And we would essentially work against the retainer, and then once that retainer is used up, we would bill you monthly. And if there's any questions about that, or you know, discussions as to how much every month would be, it would just vary on your need. There would be no monthly requirement.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions from any directors?
Do you
Okay, thank
have?
you. Go ahead, Director James.
Thank you. Do you anticipate the amount of hours that you might be working for us that hit against the your fee?
It would really depend on what the needs will be. So probably in the beginning, like for example, if you finalize the bylaws, there's not necessarily anything for me to do unless there are any changes. But moving forward, if you want to implement some policies and procedures, that would probably take a couple hours, probably I'd say 10 to 15 hours, just to give you an idea. But then after that, it really depends on your needs. There might be months where you might not have any questions for me. And so there wouldn't be anything really to bill you. Now, there might be months where you need me every single day. You need me to attend a board meeting. You need me to review a contract. You might have an employment agreement, or you might have an employee matter. And one way to keep you all informed is if you reach out to me and say, hey, can you help us with this? Can you give us an idea of how many hours this might take, just so you all are aware? We could definitely do that.
Okay, I bring that point up to the board because this is a budgeted item that we need to budget for. I don't remember seeing anything for legal fees other than the accounting fees. So what we need is probably an amount to set in the budget to handle the potential costs of whatever fees that we may have.
Fred, this is Jane. The budget that we approved at the last session has legal and professional fees combined. Those include the accounting fees. There is an increase in the legal and professional fees in aggregate for 2022, 2023. But I do not think the increase reflects the full scale of professional fees that the board may incur to revise the budget and implement the full policies. The budget did provide a profit of 46,000. So to the extent that our legal fees are below that, the budget should be able to absorb the increase in legal fees for 2022, 2023.
Okay, so Director Max, you're saying that we have enough fees for the year that we can absorb any increase in legal fees?
Not any increase. I'm saying that we
I'm
have,
sorry.
we
I
have
don't mean to
provided
say-
an increase. And there is a profit, there is a profit estimated of 46,000.
Okay. So we just eat into that profit. Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you. It was just a note I wanted to bring to our attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
You're welcome.
And the next person we have is from the Law Office of Africa, A. Sanchez. No relationship to me whatsoever. I just want to get that out there first thing. There's absolutely none. But we do share the same last name. And she too is also involved with public boards and has a lot of experience. Africa, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sorry. I don't know why my video is not working. So I apologize for that. I can't see myself either on there, but good afternoon.
Oh, we
everyone.
can see you. We can
Oh,
see
you
you.
can? Okay, good. I can't see myself on my phone or on my Zoom, but nice to meet you all. I'm Africa Sanchez. I have been practicing here in the state of Nevada for 22 years. I first started within the Clark County School District, and I was in-house counsel for them for about 4 years. And then I went and I was general counsel for the teachers union for the Clark County Education Association. And actually the school district was kind enough and trusted me enough to sign a conflict waiver so that I can switch sides, if you will. And so I have a lot of experience working with the public entities. And even though the Clark County Education Association, the teachers union, wasn't a public entity per se, they had a lot of similarities with the library district. The Clark County Education Foundation, Education Association, and then they also had a foundation, and then they also had a trust. So it was very interesting to see how those three interplayed with one another and how their interest sometimes aligned and sometimes did not. So I have experience in seeing that different aspect of it. When I opened up my own firm in 2014, I obviously have this kind of unique experience where I was actually in-house counsel for both the school district and the teachers union, that I represent a couple of charter schools as well. And so one that is governed by, or that their governing authority is the school district, and one is the Nevada Charter School Authority. And so with those schools, with their boards, I've done several trainings on open meeting laws, on just reviewing their open meeting agendas, and also having it be very contested where they're going to lose their charter potentially, and having them retain their charter. So I've had this wide aspect of experience working with public entities during my entire legal career for the last 22 years. So in very many different areas of laws, employment, contract, reviewing contracts, but even dealing with injuries that happen on campus, if you will. I've also, so that's generally the experience that I would bring in. My retainer agreement is different. I put it in the way that I have retainer agreements with my charter schools. And so they prefer to do, and maybe it's because of budgeting for their budgeting purposes, that I have a retainer that they pay me each month. And that's whether they have one question or sometimes 10 questions in 1 month. It just varies by month, right? Depending on the need. But they pay me a monthly retainer. And so for the most part, that covers, because as my charter schools tell me, that I'm very, I'm very generous with my time and what that $1,000 retainer a month entails. But if there is something that becomes more litigious or becomes that it's going to take up more of my time, then I offer a reduced rate. I offer a reduced rate because of the monthly retainer fee. And so for your organization, I did my reduced amount at $275 per month. I mean, $275 per hour. But the way that I view it is, for the most part, you're looking at the flat fee of the 1,000 retainer agreement mostly each month, unless something comes out of the ordinary. I know that it's difficult because you haven't had legal counsel before, and I don't know what kind of need you may have in the future, but I tend to be fair with my time and in how I bill. That's the best way. That's the best way that I can put it. That I just try and be fair, and I hope that the clients that I work for are fair with me as well as my my charter schools, especially. They tell me, they're like, oh wow, you're really fair with your billing. So and I've had one client has been my client since 2016, so for 8 years, so my clients tend to be loyal to me. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Open the floor for any questions from any directors. Yes, Director Kalish.
Hi, Ms. Sanchez, Michael Kalish. Do you have any experience with drafting bylaws, creating policies and procedures for nonprofits?
For nonprofits, no, they're all based. My experience has been with the charter schools and the school. So no, it hasn't been with nonprofits.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions from
I
directors?
have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, Director James.
Do you have a staff, or are you pretty much a loner? Or
No, I have a staff. I have 5 employees who work for me. So I have five employees that work under me. I'm looking. I've had associates in the past, but I tend to be very picky. So with my associates anyway, so I am looking to hire an associate as well. But no, I'm not a loner, if you will. I guess I have 5 staff that work with me. So. Mhm.
How long you been working in the current position?
I've had my own firm since 2014. So it's been 8 years.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions from?
This is Director Mack. I have a question.
Yes.
How long, Miss Africa Sanchez, how long have you been working with the charter school organizations?
Since 2016. So right soon after I opened up my own practice. Because before I was in-house counsel for the school district and in-house counsel for the Clark County Education Association.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, no. Thank you very much, Africa, and thank you very much, Ms. Martinez. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good day and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to you both. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Felipe Ortiz.
Yes, yes.
Are we ready for discussion real briefly?
Yes, that's what I'm hoping we could do. Yes.
Okay, I haven't had the
Yeah.
experience of having very high profile attorneys for different organizations. One particular attorney, if I spend 15 minutes, I get billed $300 for 15 minutes. And so having had that experience, I would prefer a monthly flat fee. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if you compare the two, it looks like Africa Sanchez has employer-employee relations experience, foundation experience, trust experience, in-house counsel, public governing boards, open meeting laws. The other attorney's firm, Kemfer Kroll, the individual handling that, the individual that submitted the bid is not going to be handling that. They're going to send it to one of their other firms, which will drive up the price. Although it looks cheaper on the front end, in the real world scenario, we could end up with one issue that could charge us $5,000 to $6,000. So for that reason, I would be in favor of Africa Sanchez. One, she has the experience, the knowledge, and just being cheap. Not my money. I would feel more comfortable having a flat rate. And then next year revisit. If that worked out, then we can go to a different firm that charges by the minute, literally. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your comments. I would like to hear from other members on the floor about this, especially, yes, please, Director Way.
Madam Chair, just gives a little color on the due diligence and the selection process.
Microphone, please.
Speaking right into the microphone. So I was asking if let's get a little color on the due diligence process and selecting these two candidate firms.
Absolutely. So I basically talked to a lot of attorneys in town, and what you will find is you will have a lot of attorneys who do real estate, financial matters, utility matters, public boards. The universe is super small. I even went to Director Kalish and asked him for some guidance. I searched wide and far, and I want you to know that. And the crazy part is a lot of the people that are great with public boards are currently working for Clark County, the city of North Las Vegas, and the city of Henderson. And so, because that's all they do. And you'll find that there are specialized attorneys that do public boards. If they, need something on an agenda item, but there's not a lot of attorneys that do it. So just an FYI. And I did search high and low. And I did ask some members of our board who are attorneys that know the community better than I do, because I am not an attorney, for some guidance and help.
Super, thank you. The diversity of issues, Director Kalish brought up the question about the bylaws. Just my take is the Camper Crowell has access to a greater diversity. Obviously, I share the concern about how costs could spiral out of control. But at the end of the day, good legal advice can be priceless in terms of how it protects our assets and board members ourselves.
Very good.
I'm
Director
sorry.
Kalish.
I'm sorry. Could you ask Director Kalish if its button is on green, if it's on?
No, it's not. He hasn't started talking. We just heard comments from Director Way. Did you hear those comments?
No. Whoever was,
Barely.
Okay, hold. Yeah, why don't we have Director Way remark again? Sorry.
I think we had a faulty microphone. My apologies to the other directors. The last comment I made was comparing and contrasting the scope of services that each firm would be able to provide. That Kemper Crowell, correctly, has access to a greater diversity of legal specialties. They might be able to provide us services which we may not be able to foresee. We did ask the question about the experience with bylaws, which Ms. Africa Sanchez did not have experience with, which is important. And then I made a comment regarding the price we pay for legal fees, that in some cases you get what you pay for, and you may have to pay extra, but it might be worth it in terms of protecting the foundation's assets and also board members.
Thank you, Director Way. Yes, Director Kalish.
So I don't know these attorneys personally. I think Ms. Sanchez on paper has some more experience in open meeting laws. As I asked her, she didn't have experience with bylaws. That's something we're going to need. So if we do go decide on Ms. Sanchez, we would have to possibly engage separate counsel to help us with the bylaws. So then you'd be looking at 12,000 because she wants an annual contract. Plus whatever fees we incur for additional counsel for our bylaws. The other benefit, I guess, from Kemfer Crawl is if Miss, sorry, the last name, Ms. Martinez isn't aware, she can lean on someone else in her firm to get us an answer. And the other bonus is if they can help us with our bylaws and policies and procedures. So I even though Ms. Martinez doesn't have as much experience as Ms. Sanchez, I think Kemfer Crow would probably be better, in my opinion.
This is Director Mack. I have a question. Elaine, have you explored what would be the cost of engaging our pro bono attorney in excess of her pro bono services?
So I talked to Ellen and she's not available. I can ask her again, but she is very expensive and she's very busy. Like it was very kind of her to do what she did. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, Jane, I think you should expect the rates to be in excess of what Kemfer has listed here. And I was able to leverage my relationship with them in order to get us help on the bylaws so far. So yeah, I would expect higher rates.
I appreciate that. I asked the question because I wanted to explore the possibility if we went with Miss Africa Sanchez and we needed to hire expertise to the extent Miss Sanchez felt like it was an area that she couldn't adequately provide us services on. Could we leverage Miss Sanchez to the extent of her retainer and then engage Ellen to the extent we need those additional services? But if that is not a possibility,
I'm just telling you, it's very, I mean, Ellen is worth her weight in gold and she's so experienced. And she does work for many, many different boards, even across the country. So she's, yeah, it would be a big hefty bill. Are there any other questions? Yes, please.
Okay. I am in agreement that I do believe that Kemper Crowell will be the more experienced unit, but I do have very serious concern of a unrestricted dollar client or representation. This can, if we ask a question that is not within her expertise, which they're quoting us the transactional attorney's rate at $350, we're looking at her talking to someone else and it possibly being $550 an hour. Those bills that I've watched it and experienced it happen so many times can add up far beyond what we would even imagine if the questions are coming in. So my question to follow that up would be, what would be the guidance on contacting the attorney? Would it be the chair is only going to contact the attorney? Can anyone on the bylaws committee contact the attorney? So if anyone can just pick up the phone and call and say, I have a question, we're working on this. Every time you call, as Director Ortiz said, you're running that bill up every second that you talk.
Well, I think that's part of the other discussion in the president's report about policies and procedures, and that's something that we should do. And just to say this, and I think you guys already know this, but just for the record, when we hire an attorney, it's for the board. It is for board matters. It is not an attorney for, Director Way has something that he wants to do. It's not a personal issue. It's for the board. And so I think that is something that we could answer with policies and procedures. Number one, I think that the fact that we have Ellen currently for the bylaws committee, I think let that work itself out as far as the timing and up to the $10,000. And then we would have to deal with an attorney, whichever attorney we choose. I hope I'm being clear on that.
Yes. So to follow up, so we already have someone retained to assist with bylaws, but up to $1 amount.
Yes, $10,000. Yes. Are there any other questions? Okay, with that being said, is there anyone who'd like to make a motion?
Madam
Felipe, Felipe, if you're comfortable to make the motion.
Yes,
Yes. Who's this?
Felipe would like to move to approve a one-year contract with Africa Sanchez as stated in her summary report to us, and revisit next year, a year from now.
Kelly Benavides, second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, which is to have Africa Sanchez as legal representation for the foundation. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so how many is that? And who was that? Okay, Dr. Okay, perfect. And myself. And who else?
Tamar.
Tamar. Anybody else?
Kelly Benavides.
Kelly Benavides.
Felipe
And
Ortiz.
okay.
James?
Oh, Fred, did you
Yes.
vote yes or yes? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, all those against?
This
Okay,
is
a nay
Kiba,
from
nay.
Director Kalish. Oh, I'm sorry. Who is this?
Kiba, I'm a nay.
You're a nay. Okay, so
Mm.
Director Creer, Director Kalish, Director Rogers. Any abstentions? Okay, very good. Motion carries. All right, thank you very much. Moving on, we're going to go to the next session.
So, Elaine, if I could suggest that we do public comment.
Yes,
So
then we
close this. meeting?
Perfect, that would be great. And I believe we have no public comment. Is that correct? Okay, thank you, Virginia. All right, we have no public comment, so we can close this session or this part of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, this is Felipe Ortiz. I'm going to sign off and not be in the closed session.
Yes, thank you very much.
As well
And,
as myself, Kelly Benavides.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
And as well as myself, Fred James.
You're going to not be on the meeting?
I'm going to sign off.
Okay, very good.
Do we have to have a motion to
Close the session. Yes. I'm sorry.
adjourn?
Yes, motion to adjourn is don't we adjourn after the closed session or am I? Okay, so we'll adjourn this meeting now at 1:23. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thank you. Right, thank you.
So we're closing this link out and then there's a new link. for
Thank
executive
you.
session.
Thank you, Joanne. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys all.